believe in the gun. And our players don't use it most days. They use it every day.
In my 20 years as head coach, I've used the gun every single year. Well, my dream as a coach that everybody would grow up with the gun, because getting all those reps would make my job a lot easier.
Good morning, everybody. This is the NABC Championship Webinar Series. My name is Tom McDonald. I'm the 2-year college coach rep for the Board of Directors. We also have Troy Hilton on the call, and I'll be introducing Pat Chambers here in a minute, Coach Chambers. Special thanks to Jim Haney, Reggie Mitten, Troy Hilton, I already mentioned, Eric Weberg, and the rest of the NABC staff. They've been so supportive and pointing us from the right direction and how we get to all these coaches and get the best coaches to speak. We have the Gun as a sponsor, and they've been unbelievable in helping put this thing on. Sideline Interactive is going to provide somebody at the end of this webinar series an 8-foot LED for their sideline. Free shipping, it's worth over $11,000. Craig Reed has been unbelievably helpful in sending clipboards, marker boards, magnetic boards to coaches who are quarantined and can't get to their offices, and it's been greatly appreciated. Mike Bray, past president of NABC, for all of his support, encouragement. Jamie Dixon, the same thing. They both have spoken. They both were unbelievable. And then just their willingness to help and encourage and point us in the right direction. The Board of Directors, all of them have been so helpful in social media and getting the word out, and then also their time and effort. Championship Productions, Bill Bergen, Nate Landis, and Daryl Bennett for their time and their commitment to putting these on. And during this unbelievable time of pandemic and COVID-19. With that, I'd like to a warm welcome to Pat Chambers, and here's bio for him and his accolades, and we're just happy to have him on. In 1995 to 1996, Delaware Valley, he was an assistant coach. And Troy's going to ask a question about the little hiatus he took. And then in 2001 to 2004, he's at Philadelphia as an assistant. 2004 to 2009 as a Villanova assistant. Then he took over at Boston University from 2009 to 2011. Currently, he's the head coach at Penn State. He's going to talk about the 3-quarter court 1-2-2, and then his record this year was 21-10, 11-9. And the other thing that sticks out about Coach Chambers is his commitment to being an NABC member and the profession of coaching and helping other coaches. He's been a member for 17 years. He's been the NIT 1 time, CBI twice, and the NCAA once. Our warmest welcomes and thank you for being on, Coach Chambers, Penn State University.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Coach, you've got an interesting background. I know Troy's going to ask you a question in a minute, but you've been an assistant. First of all, you played for an unbelievable coach, a legend, Hall of Famer, and then you've also coached with another one with Jay Wright. So Herb McGee and Jay Wright. I just wondered I know how important education is to you for yourself and for your student athletes, but if you could just talk about your education, how important it is, and some of those people that paved the way for you to get where you're at.
Yeah, I was blessed from elementary school. I went to a small Catholic school outside Philadelphia. I had great coaching back then by the gentleman by the name of Tom Rare. He ended up going through the ranks and coaching in high school. He started out in 5th and 6th, pretty amazing guy. So he gave me the love of it. He gave me the basics and the fundamentals of it. And then again, I was fortunate enough to play for another guy by the name of Dan Doherty, who is the trivia question: who's the coach between Bob Knight and Coach K at West Point? And the trivia answer is Dan Doherty. So he coached with Bob Knight at West Point. So I was fortunate enough to be coached by him, and you learn discipline and toughness. And really my defensive side of my brain comes from Dan Doherty for sure. And then I go on to play for a Hall of Fame coach in Herb McGee, who's an offensive genius. One thing I learned about Herb was more 5-on-5, teach out of 5-on-5. I still do my drills, don't get me wrong. but he's a little bit different in that he still had his drills, but 5-on-5 was really important to him and teaching out of that. But if he wanted to get somebody a shot, the guy was a magician. He could get anybody a shot at any point during a game. And the other team knew it was coming, but it didn't matter. And you take a lot from the way Herb ran his program and why he's so successful, one of the winningest coaches of all time in the history of college basketball. There's so much to learn from a guy like that. And the relationship that I have with him and my teammates have with him is pretty fantastic. And then I go to Del Valle. I work under Dave Duda for a little bit, cup of coffee there, trying to find my way. I just graduated college, had great education throughout my life, Episcopal Academy, Philly U. And it was important to see where I wanted to go. I wasn't sure. I was unsure at that point, making money or just jumping right into basketball. So I started to work for my family business there, and then ended up working for Jay Wright. You know, I'll let you guys ask more questions, but I ended up working for Jay Wright. I was very blessed, very fortunate as a high school coach to learn under him and talk about completing the circle, what this man does. He's not just a great coach. He's not just a great leader. He's not just a great motivator, an inspirational human being. He's doing everything. He's charities. He's raising money. He's helped leading the university in every facet that you can possibly think of. Also pushing tickets. Think about this. When I first got there, Jay Wright's in the cafeteria standing on tables. That was many, 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 many years ago. Now you have to have a waiting list for their tickets. But think about that. Think about, you know, the ticket aspect of it too. And then of course, I didn't even mention recruiting and practices and how his approaches and his film sessions. So I've been incredibly blessed with the umbrellas that I've been under to put myself in the position I'm in today.
Troy, I know you have a question, then I got a couple more, and then we'll turn it over to Coach on the press.
Thanks, Coach, again for being here today. My question is about the stint you took with the family business. I know there's a lot of kids, you know, when they're playing, they say, well, when I get done playing, I want to get into coaching and stuff like that. And, you know, and then at some point they have to make a decision, write it out, or go get a job. And so you were at that point, obviously, at some point had to help with the family business, but were able to get back. What was it that enabled you to get back into coaching after taking the hiatus? And then the other question I have about is, what business acumen did you bring from that into coaching? Helps you run your programs? What did you learn during that stint that you still use today that you feel is effective?
Really, really good question. I took the hiatus because I needed to find out what was going to motivate me, what was my passion. I knew I loved basketball. That was never going to change. I was still playing in tons of men's leagues and pick up whatever I could. And I just loved it so much. But I think I was driven by money a little bit, which can be short-sighted. I also wanted to work with my family. I really respected my older brothers. I'm the youngest of 12. For those who don't know that, 9 boys, 3 girls. So I value their opinion. I mean, I had 2 parents, a mother and a father, but my brothers were also my father figures, and they led me to, you know, to the success I see today, to be quite honest. But I went to this printing business with them, and we really built this business up. And what I learned during that time was organization, detail, because it was a printing business. So if you weren't incredibly detailed in everything that you did, it was going to bite you. You were going to lose a client, you were going to lose a job, or you had to redo the job, which means you lost money. So to me, the detail and the organization of everything I do today is because of the printing business. And my staff might think I'm a little bit anal because I double and triple check things. And it's because of that time that I worked in the printing business. The other thing I learned there was dealing with different people, different egos, different backgrounds. Not one client was the same in their approach and how they did things. Some clients really busted your chops, and other clients just threw it to you and said, figure it out, and it was all on you. And then how to handle those clients, how to handle those difficult clients, how to handle the good clients, how to handle the one in the middle of the road. I learned so much from that 9 years, those experiences. Again, that's helped me today. The third thing, and for high school coaches and college coaches, is the word no. When you're at Villanova, you get more yeses. I still heard no back then. BU, you start to learn, okay, there's some no's here. But at Penn State, I heard a lot of no's in my 4 or 5, the beginning of my tenure here. And you learn that in the printing business. You're cold calling. You're sending emails. You're doing literally cold calls, like knocking on doors, walking to businesses, saying, hey, here, my name's Pat Chambers, giving them a flyer and a business card. I'd love to strike up a relationship or a conversation. No, get out of my office. Call. No, we have a vendor. So to hear the word no and really that kind of damages the ego a little bit. That damages the confidence a little bit. But it taught me to keep pressing on. It taught me to keep going. It taught me resiliency. And I think that's what I've taken into the job at Villanova when I was director of ops and worked my way up to head associate coach, our first Final Four. Resiliency taught me at BU when I had 9 seniors my first year. And you know, they already had a lot of habits. And how do you change that? How do you connect with them when they're like, I'm only going to be with this guy for 9 months? And then at Penn State, you learn resiliency and how to battle back from so many no's and so many setbacks and so much adversity through that time in my business. So I brought a business background or acumen to basketball. I'll share one other quick story. I sent my staff to learn how to sell. I sent them to different, especially at BU, we had a young staff. I sent them to a seminar to learn how to sell because I was able to receive that type of preparation and that type of knowledge and wisdom through a company I worked for right out of college called Syntex, which is now Hoffman & LaRoche. And then with the printing business, I was able to learn so much about selling and opportunity and how to rebound from no's. And I wanted my staff to do that. So just so you know, I've taken that background, that business background that I have, and I put it to my assistants to help them learn how to handle some challenge and adversity, but what to do in those situations to be the best recruiters we can be, to show these kids the incredible opportunities that they have.
Coach, my question is following up on that. How do you, working right now, communicating with your staff, your players, and recruiting, what mechanism are you using, and what are you doing during this time to stay connected with them?
Yeah, I think our staff is doing a phenomenal job in how our approach has been. We didn't really complain or we didn't bitch. We weren't negative. We just said, okay, here's what's going on and what are the solutions? Because we can all complain. Every day we can be negative, complain. All right, so we got that. We know what's going on. We can't be in the office. We can't be with our players. We can't be out recruiting. So how do we forge ahead? And what we came up with was the Zoom calls that we're doing the Zoom right now. So we do a ton of Zoom calls throughout the week, at least 3 times a week with my assistants and my program. That means when I say programs, from the office manager to the GAs, all the way up to myself, marketing and social media and the equipment guy, and I'm talking everybody is on this Zoom. So I think that's one, to stay connected, keep our culture going, keep our relationships going. With the players, I thought it was important early on, we send out a pump video. I FaceTime with them one-on-one. We do a team Zoom. We've done some other things. We partnered up. We sent out videos for strength and conditioning because player development never stops. So we sent out equipment. We sent out videos on strength and conditioning. And then we have that team Zoom every week to stay connected. And then I meet with the leadership council as well. So I don't want to oversaturate it. I want to do just enough to keep our culture and our connectivity in the right place that it's been over the last 3 or 4 years. Think about this, 76 wins in 4 years, 61 wins in the Big Ten the last 3 years, NIT championship, 3 buys consecutive in 3 years. This year we were top 10, top 25. So I don't want to lose that foundation. And for me, the foundation, we all use culture very loosely. It's about family and it's about relationships, it's about building trust, but it's about the staff and the players. And if we're all pulling in the right direction. So those are some of the things. We're using Peloton. I mean, there's some of the unique things. We're doing Instagram and doing a little like a podcast version. We're doing a dribbling challenge, wall sit challenge, plank challenge. We're doing a lot of fun things. We're having fun with it. And I even did a little plank challenge and set it out to them. I'm going to be 50 in December. So it's not the best form, but I'm doing it. I'm trying it. But we're having a lot of fun during this time and trying to keep one another positive, even though we can't be together.
When this thing all hit, the pandemic, COVID-19, where were you guys at?
We were in Indianapolis preparing to play Indiana. So we're in the hotel. Again, short. I'll keep it short. We're in Indianapolis. We're in the hotel. We're ready for Indiana. We've got a new vibe. Hit a couple speed bumps at the end there. Really weren't happy how we finished because we were fighting for a Big Ten championship. We get up the next day. We have breakfast, our normal routine, game day routine. We go to the field house in Indiana, and we have just such an energetic, fired up walkthrough. And I'm trying to slow them down. I'm trying to pump the brakes. Let's save some of this energy, because late in the season you want to maximize all your energy as much as you can. And so we do our walkthrough. We're fired up. We get back to the hotel. Everybody goes to their rooms, and I get a text from my sport administrator saying, "Can you meet me in the lobby?" And that's when I found out that the Big Ten tournament was canceled. So for me, that was devastating, because I felt like we were going to play on Sunday. I felt like this was the year. This was the team with all the ingredients. We are a top 10 team. We were a top 10 team. I felt that. We had good guards. One of our guards got sick, and I just felt like that hurt us a little bit. And, we got a little weary down at the end. The Big Ten was so darn good. And then to have that thrown at us was hard. And then later on that day, the NCAA tournament canceling. It's probably the toughest team meeting I've ever had in my life. And I'll never forget it as long as I live, standing in front of that team. You had Lamar Stevens. Think about this kid. He comes back, could have been a two-way player, could have started his professional clock. He decides to come back. And I'm looking at him, and he's 7 points away from being the all-time scorer in Penn State history. And just not on an individual, but as a team holistically, it was just, it was really hard. Again, in our little world, it was really hard to go through that meeting and let these guys know that the season has come to a screeching halt, and we wouldn't be putting the jersey on again. And then to add the no selection show Sunday really, really hurt us, because at least we wanted to see if we were a 5 or a 6 seed, would have been the highest seeding in Penn State history. And we did have a historical year. But again, it's much bigger than the micro world we live in called college basketball.
Coach, I'm going to turn it over to you. This is a hot topic. People are chomping at the bit to hear you speaking on the 3/4 court 1-2-2 press. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll monitor the question and answers for you. If you don't mind, I'll kind of go, Coach, I got a couple questions for you. Is that okay?
Yeah, just I'll pause after I go through some certain pages. I'll pause, and then if there's questions out there, let's
if you see my picture come back up, or I have a question. Otherwise, just keep rolling.
Sounds good, guys. How's the connection? Everything good so far?
Looks good right now. Looks good right now, Coach.
Okay, so here's some of the reasons we like the 1-2-2 for Penn State, and why I bought into it back in the day when I was with Coach Wright at Villanova. First of all, we want to disrupt the opponent's offense, take them out of rhythm a little bit, and they have to practice against it. They have to prepare for it. I always think that's another good reason for this. We've led the Big Ten in the last few years in steals. Jamari Wheeler, Josh Reeves have led the Big Ten in steals. So we want to create turnovers. We want to speed up the teams like Wisconsin, low possession teams. Rutgers this year was a low possession team. Try to speed those teams up. Obviously, if the team is getting some rhythm, maybe after a timeout, maybe after a free throw, you might want to try something different to take some teams out of rhythm. So we might throw that out there. Of course, you want to shorten the shot clock, 30-second shot clock. You don't want your team to sit in a stance for the entire, let's say, 26 seconds. That can be taxing, especially in a high-level game like in the Big Ten. Also, when it comes to really good point guards or mismatches, you might want to take some time off the clock in that regard as well. And then we had some of the best bigs in the country in the Big Ten this year. Just amazing. Just one comes to mind is Garza. I thought he was player of the year, hands down. It wasn't even close in my opinion. I did watch Obi, nothing against him. I thought he was terrific as well. But what Garza did this year was amazing. But then you had Wesson, you had Tillman, you had just so many incredible bigs in our league this year. So another way to just maybe slow it down a little bit, maybe take them away from, you know, our bigs having to work so hard against these bigs defensively, because typically there's a foul in that situation. So there's some of the reasons. There's other reasons that you may enjoy for your team or what your mindset is and what your approach is. But this is really some of the things that myself and my staff, and again, it's about your players too. If I don't have a quick athletic team that I think can really handle the three-quarter court press, then this might not be for you. You have to tailor your team, your roster to what you think is best for them. It might not be the 1-2-2. It could be a 2-2-1. You might back it up a little bit. You might want to play zone. I'm a predominantly man guy. I like man because for a lot of reasons. But maybe the next webinar I do will be about man, but today is about the 1-2-2. So this is the space that I've landed in. I feel very comfortable with it, and my team likes it, and we recruit to it. We make sure we have some speed and some athleticism. So here's some of the diagram here. Let's start with X3. X3, I think, is the most important guy for us. If you've ever seen us play, we had a young man by the name of Isaiah Brockington, number 12. Incredible athlete, highest vertical that Penn State's ever seen off the vert. He's an energizer bunny. He's the type of guy that you want on the top there. I would also say one of the greats of all time is Josh Reeves, number 23, who played for us. Having a guy like that, 6'5", 6'6", long, rangy, athletic, that can really disrupt the ball. So number one, X3, in my opinion, needs to be your best athlete. So he's got to keep the ball out of the middle. He's got to keep it out of the middle. He's got to force it to a sideline, because then that's going to dictate what line two and the second line does, or the first line and then the second line does. So get it out of the middle, do a great job, play a little cat and mouse, attack small, retreat big, make them try to pick the ball up. We'll scatter back. We'll deny all the other offensive players and put them in the most difficult position possible. So that's the point, man. Our first line there is X1 and X2, as you can see my diagram. X1 is going to attack small, retreat big, along with the man on the ball, which is X3 in this situation. Attack small, retreat big, attack small, play a little cat and mouse. Again, see if we can bait him into picking the ball up, or at least reversing the ball backwards. We want the ball to go backwards. Depending on where we are in the game, we definitely want time to go off the clock. We want, like I said, we don't want him to sit in a defensive stance for 26 to 27 seconds. So X1, we're going to play cat and mouse. X3 is doing his job. The ball's out of the middle. As you can see, the opposite wing, X2, is taking away middle. You really got to take away middle. We don't want the ball to go to the middle, because now you're in big, big trouble. If the ball goes middle, it's a flat-out convert. Everybody's got to get back and get to the line of the ball. If you've seen some of my teams, I actually teach us, if the ball gets to the middle, we have a dive from behind drill. My guys love it now. They used to not like it, but they know the benefits of it because they're winning plays. So if the ball does get to the middle, we don't want the ball to get to the middle. We will dive from behind. So you got a somewhat of a cat and mouse going on with the ball, and now you got to take away middle. So we're in good position with the top three guys. Let me go to the back line now. As you can see, X5 and X4, they're on a string. They are absolutely on a string. We're going to hedge to the sideline on the ball side, on the strong side. X4 is going to take the midpoint. Now, if you have an athlete like Lamar Stevens, you're going to give him a little bit of rein here, a little bit of a leash. Hey, if you think you can go get that skip pass, because everybody goes 1-3-1 against it or a diamond against it now, if you think you can go get that, go get it. Go get it. Have some confidence. I have confidence in you. When you have a shot blocker like Mike Watkins, or a great defender like John Hara in the back line that you know is going to make really good decisions for you on a 2-on-1, then you're okay with taking some chances. So let's reverse the ball now. Ball's back in 110. We're going to reverse the ball backwards, which is great for us. That's exactly what we want. Goes back to the two-man. X3's got to stay in between 1 and the 2 offensively to create those mismatches, as if you can see on the diagram. And I'm going to show you some video content shortly here. Bang, it goes to 2. Now, X2's got to hang just for a second. Give X1 a chance to get back. So again, that ball doesn't go middle. As you can see right here, the ball doesn't go middle. Here's X3 here. He's staying in between the ball, the 2 players here out front. X1's going to get back here. X2's going to hang. Now they're going to do their job playing cat and mouse. We all want the traps in here. Everybody out there knows that. Above the hash, in the backcourt between. These are danger zones, right? These are danger zones right here. So that's where you want your traps to be, right here. So here comes X3. Here comes X2. If the ball comes here, everybody rotates. X1 now has the middle, no middle. X4, X5 are on a string. Let's take that sideline away. X5, let's get to the midpoint, just the way you see there. So I'm going to pause real quick, Tom. I'm going to pause. Is there any questions right there about just a simple rotation? I think we got to take this one step at a time.
Coach, here we go. I'll start with, how would you play it in a high school sense, since no shot clock?
I would still, the opponent's personnel and the scouting report that you have would dictate whether I use it or not. So if you're trying to create turnovers, it's great. It's great for that in a high school setting. If you don't have a shot clock, in Philadelphia, they don't have a shot clock. And if you know a team is going to go old school, 4 corners, or hold the ball, and really maybe an old school Princeton style offense, then I'm all for playing the 1-2-2 to speed teams up and create a little havoc out there. Create some things out there to get them to turn it over, to think twice about what they're doing. So in a high school setting, again, if they have a great big man, if they have a point guard that's a surgeon off a ball screen, situations like that, I'm all in going for a 1-2-2 in that situation.
What do you drop back into, Coach, in the half court?
So we work on this all the time. We convert. So you're going to have some mismatches. So again, we recruit this way. Our small forward, I'll use the number 4. Basketball's positionless now. I'll use the 4, right? Let's say our X4, our small forward, for us was Lamar Stevens this year, number 11, Lamar Stevens. He can cover 1 through 5. He can cover anybody. So I think that's critical to know. Can your X4, can he handle defending anybody on the floor? So when we convert out of it, we're going to get to the level of the ball. Some teams attack it. Wisconsin doesn't attack it. Rutgers doesn't attack it. There's other teams that don't attack it. Once they pull the ball out to half court, get matched up. Now we can get matched up. If Jamari Wheeler's on a big, now Lamar or Mike or John can get them off. If Myrion Jones is on a big, that we just, once they back it up and start to set their offense, and you'll see in some video clips here, a lot of teams will back it up because they want to run their stuff. They want to run their offense. Great time to throw a 1-2-2 press out there, especially when a team's not attacking.
Would you use it versus a quick team that has a good tempo, possibly back it up more, or trap right after the court or a half court?
That's a really great question. So Maryland had Anthony Cowan, one of the best point guards we've ever coached against, ever scouted against. And I didn't play as much 1-2-2 versus him as I would other teams, just because he would break it on his own and create fouls. He was creating fouls. He was creating open opportunities for his three-point shooters. They had a ton of three-point shooters this year, and give Turge a lot of credit for the way he attacked it for sure. So Alabama would be another one. They had a great point guard, Kyrie Lewis. Maybe not the best time when there's some speed and athleticism out there to really break it down. Now you can, Tom, on what you said at the end there, whoever this coach is out there, to back it up and really pack it in, maybe start above the hash or have your point man right on this hash. I'm going to my diagram here. Maybe have your point man here instead of up here, and really cut the court in half. In my situation, cut it in half, less time on the shot clock. But in those certain situations where they got elite guards and great shooters, we have to think twice about when we use it and how we use it.
What about playing a big or a post at X3 position due to speed and placing guards back for recovery?
Say that again. I'm not understanding that question.
I think they just wanted to know about putting your X3. Could that be a forward or a post player?
Absolutely. I've moved it all around. I put Lamar Stevens on the point, number 11 on our team. I put Miles Dredd in the back. I've moved guys around all the time. So really depends on your personnel. And your personnel will dictate the positions on the floor. I'm just giving you organization here. According to your team and your roster, you can put them anywhere you want. Obviously, the 5-man should be back. I'll give you one example where I've used the 5 on the point is when we're down and we have to play all the way up to the end line. And that means up here, go to the diagram real quick, all the way up to the end line where you need to get turnovers. You need to create chaos and you need to get traps. So there has been a time where we put number 24 on our team, Mike Watkins, in that situation. So I hope I answered that question correctly. You can move your personnel around for sure.
What if the two or inbounder just steps in and then more in the middle of the floor, ball gets reversed to him and goes up the middle? Who stops him?
So first of all, you can't have the ball in the middle of the floor. Your point man's number one job is to get the ball out of the middle of the floor. And if the ball does get to the middle of the floor, we're diving from behind. But now you're in we have a great drill. We call it Celtic drill. It's all odd man rushes. And if you don't think that we're working on odd man rushes just as much as you are in high school, you're crazy. I work on odd man rushes just as much as I work on anything else in our program, because Hubie Brown used to say, you have to have 75% conversion rate in odd man rushes. So here you go. Here's an odd man rush, right? It's going to be a 3-on-2. We go tandem, just like you would in a 3-on-2 situation. Guys got to get their tailbacks as quickly as possible. If you don't dive from behind, we got to flatten out and get to the level of the ball.
What kind of practice drills do you use for trapping, just to get them used to trapping?
Just we do a ton of 3-on-0 drills. I use the coaches sometimes. We might use the walk-on sometimes. I can get, if anybody needs some practice drills, let me know. Let Tom know, and we'll get some drills out to you. But some 3-on-0, you can definitely go 3-on-3, just to work on just the front court, just this region here. But we've progressed. We do some 3-on-0, then we go back to 5-on-0. And I got to tell you, I make it fun. That's why I put the coaches in there, and they're always trying to mess with the coaches, but they have their slides down. I actually went old school this year because our back men weren't doing a great job of being on a string. We went out and bought a rope and literally made them hold the rope to make sure we were getting out and he was getting to midpoint, and when the ball got reversed, get out and get it. So that's a little old school, but you know what? Sometimes you need to go back.
Three questions, and I'm going to, Coach, do you want to just send everything to me and I can send it out to all the people that are on the webinar?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that question's answered. I'm going to ask you 3 more questions and I'll turn it back over to you. What is the opponent's use of 3 guards? What if the opponent uses 3 guards and the 5 to beat the press, leaving the 4-man alone?
How would that setup be? Because you have a bunch of setups to attack this: 2-1-2, 2-2-1, 1-3-1. Some guys will send everybody down. Purdue has done that against us. They'll send 3 guys all the way to the end line, and they'll have 2 guys in front. So it really depends on the setup of how to attack this. If the 5-man is the inbounder or the 4-man is the inbounder, and we have a different call for that. We might back off the 5 and back off the 4 and see how far they're going to dribble the basketball, because we'd love for them to make decisions. Because you know what, guys? They're rarely in that position. So if you notice an opponent, the 5 or the 4 are taking the ball out to break the press, amen. I'm loving that, because you know the shot clock is going to go down. Now, the 4-man in our league, they're really talented. They're pros. But also, they're just not in that situation quite as often as the 3 guards or 3 wings. So for me, it's all about how they attack it.
Dive ahead. Do you want to walk through that drill one more time?
Excuse me?
The dive ahead drill or dive one more time.
I love it. It's as simple as you think it is. Get to the baseline. I have a ball. Get to the baseline here. I'm going to the diagram. Get two guys right here. The rest of the team's on the out of bounds area. Two guys are right here. One guy has the ball in his right hand. The other guy starts a little later, and he's got a haul ass, and he's got to dive from behind. Inside hand, and you got to land on your chest because the ball's going to get to the middle at certain times, and we got to make sure. There's a great clip of Penn State, Ohio State, at Ohio State, of Jamari Wheeler, number 5, who does it to perfection. He actually just hauls, he goes as fast as he can. He actually steals it because he lands on the ball, but he dives from behind, lands on the ball. Huge winning play, turns the game completely around, where we come back and we didn't win the game, but it was a one-possession game from there on out.
Do you ever deny the baseline inbounds pass?
I don't. I encourage it. Again, in this situation here, I want them to be in the pockets, these pockets here. I want these pockets. I want these pockets right there. I'm encouraging the deeper they catch it, the deeper they catch it, in here is beautiful for us. It's a benefit for us. So we want them to catch it down in here. Even if I did it all the way up, I still want them to catch it just so we can get ourselves into a trap, in a trapping situation. Usually when I'm trying to deny, it's going to be in a man-to-man series. It's going to be in our man-to-man full court pressures.
Coach, this is my last one. I'll let you get back to it.
Series,
What's your usual pickup point?
Tom, you still have me? I'm just making sure
Yep.
you still have me.
What's your usual pickup point? Point?
I have my point. Yeah, I got you. I usually have my point, my X3 right here at the top of the key, between the free throw line and top of the key. I have X2 and X3 just around the hashes there, just around those ticks that are sticking out right there, those hashes. And we have our bigs right around the hashes as well. So I think it's important for us really to cut the court in half, really to, again, disrupt teams off balance. If we really extend ourselves, especially if we're not in the inline press, that just opens up the floor for the opponent to make easier passes, and that's longer rotations for us. And we're trying not to have too many long rotations. The wings already have a long enough rotation as it is. So I don't want to start my X3 too low when my guys are back here. Right here would be the ideal point. So I'll continue on. Hopefully I'm still on.
Yep, you're good, Coach.
Okay. So here's a great situation. So the next clips here are really showing you the point man. So here's number 12, Isaiah Brockington, incredible energy, great juice, right? Great juice. Watch what he does here. So here's X3, and here's X1 in this situation. Number 0, Myrion Jones. Number 4, Curtis Jones in this situation, doing his job. He's taking away middle. There's the hash. It is perfectly set up. We are encouraging the back pass. Bang, here it goes. Perfect situation. He hangs for a second. Myrion takes the middle. Brockington's got great energy, great juice. He's pressuring the ball, using his hands, using his feet, reading the offensive player's eyes on Georgetown in this situation, and bang, that's just outstanding. As a coach, that's the way you draw it up. So Isaiah Brockington, outstanding job. In this situation here, as you can see, time and score, everybody, time and score, 69-68. This is the play that Jamari Wheeler dove from. This is the game that Jamari Wheeler dove from behind. But check the time and score here, 69-68, minute 43 to go on the road. It's exactly where you want to be in a hostile environment. Josh Reeves was one of the best ever at the point. I put Josh Reeves, Isaiah Brockington, Johnny Holland from BU. I would say Mike Nardi from my Villanova days. Those guys were just incredible at the top of this. Even throw Dante Cunningham at Villanova when he was on the top, just incredible athletes. And they work so hard, energizing Barney. So look, Josh Reeves isn't as active with his hands because his instincts were just amazing. Absolutely amazing. So watch it here. Bang, he gets a huge steal and a dunk, and Penn State goes up 1. So that's how aggressive our point man wants to be. Here's Jamari Wheeler. Maybe he's in the middle just a little too much, but he's still on a sideline. Myrion Jones is where he's supposed to be. He's starting to creep up. We're taking him away middle by number 2, Miles Dredd. Bang, there goes Miles. Here goes Myrion Jones, number 0, and no middle. So we kind of bait him. We bait him. They throw the ball. We come up with a big steal. So if I go back to the beginning, these are some of the reasons that we want to use our 1-2-2 3/4 court press. So point man, critical. That second line, I'm just showing you the second line right now. They're doing a phenomenal job. No middle. And I'll continue on. And again, we have led the Big Ten in steals in the last few years. We've had all our individual players like Josh Reeves and Jamari Wheeler have led the Big Ten in steals. So this has been very beneficial for us, but I'm also recruiting to it. We're getting long, athletic, just guys with great energy that want to defend. You got to put somebody up there that wants to do this. If you're making them do it, you're not going to benefit at all from this pressure. And it's going to be a waste of time and energy. So another situation here, we're trying to get traps. Remember I talked about these areas here for traps. These are the areas you want for traps. Here's Jamari Wheeler, right? He's doing a nice job putting pressure. And then he gets a steal. He gets the deflection. But if I go back just a little bit, Josh Reeves is doing his job. Our back line, I can't see our back line because of the screens of the NABC and Tom, but our back line's doing their job. X4 is out. We're covering the midpoint, which is the basket for anybody who's going to stretch it. So really outstanding job. Great energy, great hands, way to read their eyes, and bang. So another situation here. This is in an MTE. We're just backed up a little bit more. Wright State runs incredible offense. They got a great coach. So I don't want to sit in a half court and let them slice us up too much. So we're doing a nice job here. We're trying to get traps. So we're baiting, and bang. We see somebody turn their back. Offensive player turns their back, as you can see here. If I bring it back just a little bit, here we go. Let's fast forward. We bring it back. Everybody's doing their job. We're on a string. Corners taken. Lamar Stevens is at the rim. They had a great big man. Josh Reeves is in his position here. Jamari and MJ, they see he's turning his back. They smell and see blood, and bang, we get a big time steal because everybody's doing their job. That's really important. I know the Patriots talk about it all their time, but everybody's got to do their job if you're going to play a defense like this. If somebody's going to be asleep or somebody's going to be selfish, always looking for steals, you know, then you're going to leave yourself wide open for dunks, open threes, and foul trouble. And that's critical to what we're trying to do and how we're trying to play. So great steal there. Let me just stop right here. Okay, so now here's Wisconsin. I've mentioned them a few times on this call today. They are just a machine at what they do and how they approach everything. They're a low possession team. As you can see here, we're at home. Look at it down here. It's the second half, 12:39 to go, and the score is only 39-33. Just so you know, we averaged over 70, near 74, 75 points this year. The last 3 years, we've averaged over 70 points. So really important that we get some steals and get out and run, and Wisconsin really negates that by just juicing the clock as much as they can. Now, once I get over to half court, we disrupt them in this particular clip because they want to run their swing offense. Now they're sped up. Now we got them right where we need to get them. Or that will be the next clip. I'm sorry. This is a turnover here. Bang. We do a nice job. They're creeping on a 10-second call. Everybody's in a good position, and he travels. So we're starting to come back. We go to our 1-2-2 press. It does a nice job for us. This one's against Indiana. And again, I show this one because it turns out to be a turnover. But again, Jamari needs to get the ball out of the middle. That is really important. Get the ball out of the middle. Seth's coming up. Curtis has middle. He's doing a nice job. Number 5, Jamari Wheeler needs to get the ball out of the middle. They're attacking small, retreating big. And again, we're reading eyes, and we get another steal there. So as you saw, if the pass was completed, the middle was open. So we dodged a bullet there for sure, but our point man did a nice job, and we're able to get a 10-second call, which is another turnover. Here is Garza. I mean, we put this in. We're in a Iowa and Penn State played 2 really good games this year, one at the Palestra, one here, where they just did a nice job. We're just trying to slow the game down, take some time off the clock. You see Garza, he's a relentless worker. You see it. You know, they're not starting their offense just yet. They bring it out, 18, 17. Now we null and void Garza. He's an afterthought now. Now look what Garza does. Garza moves to the perimeter, and really that's where we want him. You know, he worked block to block. He worked the elbows sometimes. He did shoot a good clip from three, but we'd rather have him out there where he's not dominating inside, getting us in foul trouble. So this is a real successful Green situation where we negate Garza. And this one I'm going to show you is Simpson. Simpson was an absolute maestro off a ball screen. John Beeline and just did an incredible job. Juwan Howard, they did an incredible job with him and putting him in positions to be successful. So we wanted to play. Here we're obviously winning the game. We want to keep the heat on. We want to keep the pressure on. Again, the ball needs to be out of the middle, but we're trying to take time off the clock. So watch down here. Watch the shot clock down here. As you see the shot clock, there's Lamar Stevens. That's my four-man. He does a nice job converting. Seth Lundy, number one, does a nice job converting. He's X3 in this situation. I always say play hard and together, not perfect, especially when you're converting out of our 1-2-2 or you're converting in general. So here's a great situation. And Simpson just now is touching the ball. Look at this. They haven't started their offense yet. And we're at 13 seconds, 12 seconds, 11 seconds. And then I'll pause after this one, if that's okay with everybody, and we get a turnover. So let me pause there and see if anybody has any questions.
Okay, Coach, got a couple of them here that have come in. First one is, do you encourage the deep sideline pass with 4 and 5 or deny it?
You know, we encourage it because it's another opportunity. Again, if we're in these above the hashes, just over half court, we want to get some traps there. So we're not going to deny it. We're going to cat and mouse it. We're going to bait it, see if we can get a steal. If not, we're going to get to the level of the ball and see if we can get one more trap.
Do you ever use your 1-2-2 as a half-court trap where you wait until the ball crosses the timeline in order to use the timeline as an extra defender?
I haven't done it in years. I did it when I first landed at Penn State. I really wanted to disrupt offenses, and I really didn't have the great team that could execute the whole convert and on a line and the athleticism. So using it as a half court trap, I did in my first year 3, year 4. It can work. It can be valuable, but I haven't done it since the early years.
Okay. If offense cuts someone to sideline half court, how high does your back line come up to defend that? And what are your rotations from there?
Hashes. I would say let the hashes be your markers, and that way your players, your team will understand that because there's markers there. You know, I can tape the floor all I want, but the markers there that just base them all off your hashes. So if X4 comes out, all the way to the hash, I got my mouse working here if you can see this. If he comes out to the hash and they run somebody to the corner and X5 has to go to the corner, it's your back wing. So let's just say X2 in this situation, he's got to cover the basket and really drop. I actually have that coming up shortly here where our rotations are just absolutely phenomenal. If Troy, if you're okay, let me just play that clip for that question.
Absolutely.
Well, this one, yep, it's right here. So we're doing this again. We're at Wisconsin, another situation, 28-20, playing really good basketball. Josh Reeves, again, is one of the best. So they kick it up quickly. Here's X4. He goes out. He takes the ball. Watch. Here comes number 11, Lamar Stevens. He's going to take Reavers, who's number 35. He's protecting the rim. Our back wing, who's our guard in this situation, he's going to drop down to the low block. Bang, just like that. Jamari Wheeler, who was on the wing, he comes right in here to build his wall. Josh Reeves, who was on the point, he's just going to stuff it right in here to the top of the key region. So there's a great example of kicking it up and showing you a perfect rotation. Go ahead, Troy.
All right, couldn't get my thing unmuted. Why do you like the 1-2-2 over the 1-3-1?
Wow, that's a good question. You know what? It's just what I know, what I'm comfortable with, what I've studied. I do like the 1-3-1. I think I think the 1-3-1 does open up the backcourt because I'm a guy who attacks presses. So if I'm attacking, I'm going to get it to the front court. I'm going to put shooters down there. Now you're putting your 5-man at a disadvantage. Another thing I would tell you is put your X4 on the side of a shooter. Make sure your X5 is on the side of a big man or maybe someone on the scouting report that an X5 can cover or at least corral so he doesn't get blown by. So for me, that's why I like the 1-2-2 versus the 1-3-1 in a 3-quarter court situation.
Coach, can I ask you a question?
Please.
We don't have another speaker after you until the noon hour or an hour from now. So if you want to go a little longer, please feel free. I know you may have other stuff, but if you want to go longer to cover more, because this thing's blowing up on the side of questions for you. So if you want to go a little longer, you can if you'd like. All right?
I'll see what I can do. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm also homeschooling 4 children under 11. Tom, we should tell that story because Tom and I went back and forth about a time and a date, and I kept I went radio silent for a few days. I just didn't know if I could do it because of the homeschooling and how crazy my house has been. And I'm not really at my house. I'm in a small condo. And it's been challenging to say the least. But I'll go to maybe 11:15.
Hey, so you aren't working on the 1-3-1 or the 1-2-2 with the 4 other players or your kids at home? That's not on the homeschooling agenda?
No, it's all about antonyms and synonyms and things I haven't studied in about 30 years.
So you're getting a lot of questions of just varied looks. I think the video you're showing really helps. So I'll let you get back to it. And Troy and I will ask you some questions in a little bit.
Sounds good. I'll finish this one. It's something I talked about earlier on when you got a superior athlete. As you can see, Josh Reeves, this was Tony Carr's out there. Peyton Banks, 0 here, 23-10 and 0. Rutgers is attacking it. You can see we're down. It's the end of the first half. You can see time and score here. So we're trying to create and get the momentum our way. That's another thing. It's a momentum changer. So doing a nice job, but also have some calls for this to give Lamar some freedom because they're attacking it with a 1-3-1. Here's your 1, here's your 3, so to speak, or your diamond. And you're going to give Lamar Stevens a little bit of a leeway to see if he can get one and get us back in this game. Here's the situation, Palestra, Iowa. If you haven't seen this game, I'm telling you, I think it's going to come on the Big Ten Network in the next few days from what people have told me, the Big Ten has told me. I would watch this game. It's probably one of the greatest offensive games that you'll ever see. 26 lead changes. Garza goes for 34. Lamar Stevens on our team, number 11, is in foul trouble. It's just like a heavyweight. It's Ali Frazier at its best in one of the greatest gymnasiums in the country. So I'm telling you, you got to watch this game. So here's the situation. I don't play much zone. This year I didn't. I'm going to add it to our arsenal for next year. That's for sure. I'm studying it as we speak. And as you see, number 12, Brockington's on top. But I'm going to fall back to a zone here. Try to keep Coach McCaffrey off balance because you can see the score. It's 37-35 with a minute to go, and we are scoring. Both teams are scoring at a very high clip. It was Dick Hoops Weiss said that was an elite game, elite 8 game. It had an elite 8 feel to it after the game. So I'll take his word for it because he's been doing this a long time. So as you can see, the rotation. But here's what's really important. So Brock does his job, trying to take some time off the clock, trying to disguise it because we are in foul trouble. There's John Hare, there's Mike Watkins, Lamar Stevens is over here as well. We are in big-time foul trouble. I put X3 and X5 on the same side. I think that's important to note because when you fall back, we're falling back to a 2-3. You want to fall back seamlessly. So here you go. So I've seen other teams, maybe this is X3, he's running to the other side. Well, if you're a team like Penn State, we're attacking you and we're going to find your weakness. If we see you're going to be running across the court, well, we're going to skip past, we're going to get the ball to the other side, we're going to shoot a 3, or we're going to attack that closeout. So X3 is Miles Dredd, number 2 in this situation. Number 15 is Trent Buttrick. He's at the 5 in this situation. Again, Garza has put us in foul trouble. We want X3 and X5 on the same side. So we take our 1-2-2 and we're dropping back to 2-3. I think that little wrinkle will really help you out where everybody knows exactly where they need to be. And I would tell you in the huddles too, gentlemen or ladies and gentlemen out there, I would tell you in your huddles to remind them before they go out, because they could have missed a shot. I could have been on them a little bit. They could have turned the ball over. We always say don't compound the problem. Next possession is the most important possession. Next play mentality, all that good stuff. But if you don't keep reminding them in the huddle and repeat it, there could be a mistake. And you know we're dealing with young adults here. So I would recommend repeat, write it down, repeat, write it down. And I've gone to that over the last couple of years on the board. You know, we can draw up a play all we want, but you're running the plays that your players are comfortable with. You're running the defenses that your players are comfortable with. If you write something brand new in a huddle, then guess what? they're going to be focusing on what that play is, not scoring or playing with confidence. That's something I definitely learned from Jay Wright. So in this situation, back to what we're talking about, the 1-2-2 back to 2-3. Here's X3, here's X5, here's X4, here's our 1 and 2, and we fall back beautifully, just seamless. So really good situation. So I'm going to finish it off here, and I'll let you guys talk. You know, you can ask more questions if that's what you like. I just want to go back to the setup page. The setup page here is really the full court. It's the full court 1-2-1-1 press. More aggressive. Maybe you're down. Maybe you need some energy. Maybe you need a momentum change. You obviously need turnovers in this situation. You might want to do it out of a timeout. Maybe when a team's not expecting it, you might want to do it after a free throw. Position your guys in a situation where they're prepared and ready to go. But this is, for the two clips I'm going to show you, we're down. We're down at Purdue a couple years ago, down at Michigan State a couple years ago. And maybe we caught them off guard, maybe we didn't, but we still got 2 turnovers due to our full court green. So here you go. So here's the situation. Everybody's up. As you see the diagram, which I talked about, everybody's up. We're inviting passes into those pockets. Really want those passes into the pockets. Here's the pockets I'm talking about. In this case, this was Lamar Stevens, or it could be Josh Reeves. It could be, again, it's your point guy or somebody maybe a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. Could put Mike Watkins there for sure, number 24, incredible athlete. Here's your X2, here's X3. But here's Jamari Wheeler in this situation. You want this guy to be your free safety, and he can cover a lot of ground. He's super quick, has incredible instinct and anticipation. So Jamari Wheeler, number 5 for us. Josh Reeves, number 23 for us. Isaiah Brockinson, number 12 for us. Put these guys in this situation here. If you don't have Mike up, you have him back here. You know you got a rim protector back there, and they're going to think twice about going against Mike Watkins. And we have speed. My last 2 years, we've been incredibly fast and athletic. You know your wings are gonna really sprint back, get to the level of ball, and disrupt anything that's going on, especially in an odd man rush. So here's the next screen over here. We want to get them deep. Again, you want to get them deep near the end line, sideline, deep into these pockets. Hopefully get a really good trap. X1's doing his job. X3 in this situation over here, as you can see my mouse, we're going to take away the inbounder. Sometimes in the course of a game, you might not want to take away the inbounder. You might want to trap again. Really depends on my call, what I want to do in this situation. But this diagram right here in that situation, we're taking away the pass back. X1's going to step up. 5's going to cheat. You know, we're taking a risk here because we're down in the 2 clips that I'm about to show. Make this pass right here where we really can't see X5, especially if you go with high hands. I know we all work on traps. We all work on high hands. We all work on really good ball pressure on our traps. If you don't, you should. Again, there's some drills that you can put into play for these. I'm sure you already have plenty of them. You don't want to complicate things. Again, you want to keep things very simple. When we're very simple, we're more effective in our teaching and more clear. So here you go here. Here's Purdue. As you can see, only a minute and 43 to go, and we're trying to get a steal. But Jamari Wheeler again, bang. But our opposite guard does a phenomenal job here of kind of faking out the ball handler in this situation. He doesn't go immediately to the inbounder. He kind of splits the difference, kind of takes away Carson Edwards first, but then he's supposed to go there. Jamari does a nice job. had high hands here, and they throw a bad pass, and we get a steal, and now we're going the other way. In this situation here, ball's trying to get to the middle. Tony Carr does a real nice job taking it away. Mike Watkins cheats it, throws it here. And yes, for all those out there, he does bury this three, put a little fear in Michigan State where they had to call timeout. So that's a little bit different. I'm going to stop share there. I'll take a few questions, and then I got to get back to my homeschooling.
Got it. Let's see. How often do you guys trap the first trap hard? Looks like a lot of the cat and mouse. So most teams don't just pass right over the top.
You know, we really kind of stunt in those situations on the first play. Again, I don't want real long rotations. So I think that the goal or the objective, unless you have a Josh Reeves number 23 and Isaiah Brockington, where you know we can make longer rotations and we have the speed and athleticism to catch that lob pass back or a Lamar Stevens in the front court. So I don't typically like to, especially if I'm in my traditional green, I don't typically like to blitz the first one. I want a little time off the clock, make them throw. Let's get one rotation in, let the ball come up just a little bit more where we have shorter rotations and we can really get a better trap and push them, you know, sideline, half court. Now everybody's helping you in that situation with the basketball court.
How many different pressing looks do you have, Coach?
I have a few. I have a different calls.
I think that's being coy. Good job. That's all right.
Yeah. I'll share with what I can. I don't want to show my whole deck of cards. Hand here.
Let me ask you this question. This may be better for you. So let's say a coach calls timeout. Do you automatically change into another one? Or that's maybe not a fair question either, but do you switch it up as they call timeouts or coming out of halftime and things like that, where you switch up so they spent their whole timeout talking about this press, so then you go to a different one? Is that even strategy you look at?
You know, we've done that in the past. You know who does a great job of that is Franny McCaffrey from Iowa. He's always going to do something after a timeout. He's either going to get into his three-quarter court press, but it's whether he goes back to man or 2-3 or 3-2. He does a phenomenal job, and that's why we have certain plays that we run against everything. So we're not worried about what he's going back into or how to break it, because we go against ourselves every day. And we're not worried about if he's zone or man, because we have 3 or 4 core plays that can go against anything. So what I would tell you, I would try to tell you, you can mix it up. You can go to the full court 1-2, 1-1. You can back it up and go to the 1-2-2 traditional. You also can just kind of fake it, set them up and just back them up. There's also situations where I talked to you about when the 4 or 5 man have the ball. There's a different call for that. If the 4 or 5 men are in the backcourt with the point guard, we might want to back off that big man and kind of see what he can do, see what kind of decisions he's going to make. Maybe he picks the ball up because he's typically not in that position. So there are different looks and different things I can do at a timeout. So,
can you share or describe some of the drills you might use to practice the cat and mouse attack, small, retreat, big principles?
Yeah, again, we'll send that to Tom. I know my assistant, Ross Condon, is on this call right now. He can send you everything that we have as far as drills are concerned. But, we can do the one man and playing, the old school game my children's play, monkey in the middle, right? You can do that as the point man. And then you can add the other 2 guys, just the 3 guys up front. What I told you about the 3-on-0, trying to work on traps, taking away the middle, having those rotations, and just getting really good reps at it. And then you can also do the back man. I'm telling you, I bought a rope. I bought a very, very long rope. If you ever play the game Tug of War, we've done it, and I've done it for a reason. Certain teams were fighting against us, and certain guys were we were playing a tug of war the whole time. It's a great little analogy to do if you find that your team's not totally buying in. And then you can tell them, guys, this is what it feels like every day with tug of war. So take that rope, give it to the X4 and X5, and have them on a string. And it really benefits you. So there's just a couple, but my assistant can send more out there.
Are your players 1, 2, and 3 interchangeable?
It can be. It really depends on who's going to play hardest up top.
Okay, last question, Coach.
Yes. Last question. Go ahead.
In your green up, do you try to influence the first pass to the short side or make it to the first trap easier on the guy that's guarding the inbounder? Or
Good question.
are you still concerned about the blitzing that first pass?
I want it in that short side. I want it in that strong side corner. We're going to invite it. We're going to invite it. Let it go there. If it happens to go the other side, it's a little bit longer rotation for the inbounder. So I wanted to go short side. I wanted to go in that short little corner there. And that way everybody knows the rotation. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody has to do their job. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, Coach, thanks for everything. Troy, anything before we get to Noel Gillespie, NBA early offense? Troy, anything?
Pat, thanks again for doing this. This has been great, especially taking away from your family time. I got one last off-the-court question, if you don't mind.
Yep. No,
I've had this debate a few different times, including once with your boy Izzo. What was your feelings about the NCAA not coming out with a bracket? Were you in favor of it or against it?
You know what? It's so funny that you bring that up because Izzo and I talked about this about a month ago on a very long, lengthy conversation.
That's the only kind of conversations he has.
You know what? Look, I wasn't happy. I thought there's some joy to it for the staff that's worked 9 years to get us to a point to hear your name on Selection Show Sunday. There's a group of guys that sacrificed and took a chance on Penn State. Took a chance. Kind of an outlier, blazed their own path to go to Penn State. And that's the type of kids we want. We want winners and we want competitors. The path that's least resistant, I think that's the guys that we want, or less traveled. And that's the guys that we had. I felt like Lamar Stevens, Mike Watkins, Curtis Jones, and all of our team really deserved that. But I since I've been 46, 47 days away from it, I think the NCAA probably has their reasons for it. They just didn't come out and give us those reasons. They just gave us what they needed to say in the media. But I'm sure there's some underlying things here that might have to deal with insurance. I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate. So I kind of understand why they may have done it now, today. I didn't understand it a month ago when I was talking to Tom Izzo, but I understand it a little bit more today.
Coach, thanks for everything. Have a great day with your family. Stay safe, and thanks for being on.
Hey, God bless everybody.
And hey, thanks for the internet sticking with us the whole time. Great job.
How about that?
Your magnetic personality did it. Thanks, Coach.
Take care, guys. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Troy.